My name is John Gold, and I am the dubbed Master of Ceremonies by Betsy Metz. When she told me that, I expected women to walk in front of me throwing rose petals and stuff like that. Michael Springman, Colleen Rowley, Dr. Dahlia Waspy, John Albanese, Cindy Sheehan, Charlie Giles, Bob McElveen, Manny Badillo. On June 15th, 2005, I believe, I decided to take the day off of work, and the reason was because John Conyers was going to hold hearings called the Downing Street Memo hearings in the basement of the Capitol Hill building. And I wanted to see what was going on, and I had to watch this. And I remember, the people who were there, Ray McGovern, Ambassador Joe Wilson, I think the lawyer's name was Mark Zaid, and the other person who was there was someone who lost their son in the Iraq War, and her name was Cindy Sheehan. And I remember I watched her talk, and I was crying because, number one, I thought that this is it. We're finally going to get down to business with this. Cindy went to Crawford and set up what was called Camp Casey, after Casey Sheehan, her son who died in the Iraq War. And I was so proud of her for doing that.
I'll just have to say something about John Gold. He's the first person that really started to bring me along. I always agreed that we needed the truth about 9/11. Never thought we had the truth. So John Gold brought me along to want to participate in a movement that I agreed with all along anyway. So anyway, thank you, John Gold.
The first time I met Colleen Rowley was on September 11th, 2004 in Washington, D.C. At something called the 9/11 People's Commission. It was a Pacifica radio event, and Colleen was one of the panelists, along with people like Sibel Edmonds, Ray McGovern, and John Judge. And this was my first exposure to heroes, okay? So I was sitting in the audience, and I kept looking up at the panel, and I kept shaking my head. I can't believe I'm here with these people, these heroes. Condoleezza Rice, her office authorized Christy Todd Whitman to rewrite EPA reports so that they would be more favorable. And they were telling everyone that the air was safe to breathe and the water was safe to drink. And I think just recently it came out that New York City did not have enough respirators for everyone, all of the firefighters, even though they were supposed to. There were so many assurances from people in government about how the air and the quality around Ground Zero was safe. And it just simply was not. And they knew this, and yet they told the public otherwise. Cindy Sheehan referred to her as shocking. And I think we have a little girl right here. She doesn't look threatening in any way. Little woman right here. And it's funny how actually she came to be at this conference. My friend Nick over there recommended her to me. And I knew her before because of some shenanigans that took place in the 9/11 Truth Movement, which I'm not going to get into. But I only knew her from that. So I looked up her name on Google, and I found a video of her testifying somewhere. And I don't remember what she was testifying about, but she made very clear to tell these people that it was, let's be clear here, that it was the CIA that put Saddam Hussein into power. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, she's coming. In September of 2004, on September 9th, 2004, there was something called the 9/11 omission hearings that were held in New York City. They were chaired by then former Rep. Cynthia McKinney. She was later reelected. And that was the first time I was exposed to a 9/11 family member crying because of the loss of their loved one, because they didn't know, and they wanted to know. And that person was Bob McElveen. And when I saw him cry, I've said this several times. I'm familiar with the anger that I feel as a result of the lies and the deceptions, but I can't possibly imagine what it's like to have that anger on top of having lost someone that day. John Albanese is very old school 9/11 truth. He's one of the original people who were involved with this cause. He is a director of the movie called Everybody's Gotta Learn Sometime. And I love that movie. Let's give him a round of applause for that. I love that movie. I especially love the classroom scene at the end where it's blinking red, you know, the country is under attack and the president's just sitting there in the classroom, and it kind of put it in a great perspective. And one of the things I loved about that movie is the fact that it was narrated by a New Yorker. You could hear the New York accent behind the narration, and it added, I guess, to the sentimentality of the movie, you know, the cause. A New Yorker made a movie about 9/11, and I liked that. Visa Express program, which was instituted months before 9/11, I think within 4 to 5 months of 9/11, just for Saudi Arabia at the time. And that's the system, I think, that was used partially by the quote-unquote alleged hijackers in order to get into the United States. And what Michael's going to talk about is going to be extremely interesting. So please let us welcome Michael Springman. Charlie Giles is a 9/11 first responder. He's affiliated with the Feel Good Foundation. The Feel Good Foundation was founded by John Feel. John Feel is a hero of mine. Let's give him a round of applause. John Feel. He's done so much for the responders, and from what I understand, he's running for the Senate next year. So, Charlie Giles is a sweet, sweet man, okay? And please listen to what he has to say. Luke Rukowski is responsible for founding an organization called We Are Change. He and I don't always see eye to eye on things, but I know that the man works hard and the man cares about the truth, about accountability, and about justice.
I don't know what John's talking about. I don't have a New York accent. And